Over the years, we've tracked the case of Barronelle Stutzman. She is a grandmother in Washington State, a florist. This case has traveled up to the Supreme Court and back again. And just this past Friday, before the long weekend, the court declined to hear her case, dealing a blow to this grandmother and to her future. A very surprising announcement, considering President Trump confirmed 3 justices to the court who we were told were constitutionalists. Now, joining me now to discuss this case is Kristen Waggoner, General Counsel at Alliance Defending Freedom. She also handled Barronelle's case since the very beginning, many years ago. Kristen, welcome back to the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, give our listeners a quick refresher on this case, because it's been out there a long time and we talk about these things and we assume everybody knows the facts. So just kind of lay out the facts here for us, please.
Sure. Well, within about a year's period, there were a number of same-sex couples that went in and requested different arrangements, either floral arrangements in Barronelle's case or a custom cake in Jack Phillips' case, between that 2012-2013 period. And Barronelle was one of those who were targeted. She had served a customer for nearly a decade. She knew that the customer identified as gay. She designed custom arrangements for he and his partner to celebrate different holidays and things like that. But when Washington redefined marriage, she was asked to do custom design arrangements for the same-sex wedding ceremony. And she politely took Rob, the customer, into the corner of the shop, held his hand and said, "I'm sorry, I can't do your wedding because of my relationship with Jesus Christ." And she referred him to 3 other florists. They talked about his wedding and whether his mom would walk him down the aisle. They hugged and Rob left. And Barronelle thought that that was the end of the story until the Attorney General decided to sue her personally and corporately. And as we know from the Masterpiece Cake Shop case, the same thing happened to Jack Phillips. So those cases moved through the justice system together.
Now, is this the end of the road for Barronelle in her case?
It is. It was a deeply disappointing day. If you know Barronelle, you know that this was a grave injustice. She has served people faithfully. She served Rob faithfully. She considered him a friend. And this was really about one event. She'd done dozens of arrangements, but declined one event. And in response, without an initial complaint from the couple, the Attorney General sought to collect not only from her business, but to ruin her personally, suing her in her personal capacity.
So you mentioned the case of Jack Phillips out of Colorado, the baker. She got the baker and the florist. What are the differences in these 2 cases? Why did they turn out differently?
Well, first of all, Jack Phillips' case went to the U.S. Supreme Court and got there before Barronelle Stutzman's case did. But shortly after that, we asked the court to hear Barronelle Stutzman's case as well. We won, thankfully, Jack Phillips' case, and I had the privilege to argue that. And the court based the decision on the religious hostility that Colorado had against Jack Phillips. It didn't reach the free speech arguments because it didn't need to. So Jack won his case, and then the Washington Supreme Court's decision in Barronelle's case was wiped out by the U.S. Supreme Court case. So Barronelle, the first time she went to the U.S. Supreme Court, she essentially won her case. And the U.S. Supreme Court said, "Washington, you got it wrong. You need to rethink this." It went back down to the Washington Supreme Court, and they basically cut and pasted their original decision into the second decision, and that's the decision that they declined, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear. So it is the end of the road for Barronelle. It's a grievous injustice. It's deeply disappointing, and it's honestly hard to wrap your mind around how and why the U.S. Supreme Court didn't give her justice in some way. There were options.
So Kristen, does this underscore the cultural divide that is in our country, where some states protect religious freedom while other states essentially persecute it?
I think it does. It's important to remember that this case is focused on Washington state, and a denial to hear a case by the U.S. Supreme Court does not make new law. What it means is that Barronelle is denied justice in Washington. But we have been able to prevail in similar cases in other jurisdictions. The Arizona Supreme Court ruled the opposite of the way that the Washington Supreme Court has done, and they've protected freedom. The Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals has protected freedom. And we expect that a decision will come out of the 10th Circuit in Colorado on a similar issue shortly. So there will be a circuit split, and the court will need to address that split as we're seeing the more leftist states essentially make the justice system an arm of cancel culture.
Which is why so many people are leaving these states and moving to states that protect and respect freedom. In California, losing a congressional seat because after the census count. North Carolina gaining one because they protect religious freedom. So people are kind of voting with their feet when it comes to these fundamental freedoms.
Well, I hope that's the case. I hope that they're simply not not liking the results in their states and then going to continue to have progressive views in these new states, because what we know is that the principle that's at stake here protects all Americans. It doesn't matter whether you're on the left or the right, Democrat or Republican. The right to be able to express ourselves, to have freedom of speech, the right to be able to live consistent with our convictions is one that all humans should enjoy. And it's not one that the government gives us. It's something that God gives us, and it's constitutionally guaranteed.
And Kristen, final question, as you pointed out, because of a circuit split, most probable this question will land before the court once again, and at some point in time, they're going to have to address it.
I can guarantee you that this question will continue to come before the U.S. Supreme Court. It has to be addressed. And that if it doesn't address it, I truly fear for the future of the nation. You can't have a pluralistic, free republic, a durable nation, if you don't have the fundamental freedom to speak or not speak and the right to practice your faith.
Well, Kristen Waggoner, I want to thank you for coming on today, but also want to thank you for your work that you've done on behalf of religious freedom and all of our friends at Alliance Defending Freedom. We're grateful that you're there doing the work that you do.
Well, it's our privilege to get to partner with you and Family Research Council as well.